Hi gang, thought I'd give a recap of our trip up the Big Sur coastline that we broke down into. It ended up to being in 5 videos because the day we drove up to Carmel, we spent quite a bit of the day at Point Lobos, and I thought it'd be better to just separate Point Lobos out from Carmel, although they're real close to each other. So, um, First off, I'd like to try using, I'm on my computer here, using Google Earth and show you how we went. Let's see how this works out. So we started from San Luis Obispo down near San Luis Obispo down here. Let's see, let's get it framed in. Okay, so we started here, went up Highway 1 along the coast, and at Ragged Point is where the coastline becomes, or the Highway 1 becomes really twisty and windy, 25 to 30 miles an hour. Let's show the relief right there. So driving up Highway 1, it was very foggy right along the edge. If you can see in the video of our drive up Highway 1 to Big Sur, there were spots like here that we would be just out of the fog and then back in the fog as soon as we got here. The fog level was just about the level of the road. There's a little town of Gorda that you go through. Again, with COVID, actually the restaurant looked open, but it should be opening up more in the near future. And then here at Plaskett, there's camping. There's a couple campgrounds along here. Plaskett was open when we drove by. We saw people camping. And Sand Dollar Beach here is really nice. It's a day use. You can go there, or if you're camping, you could walk across. We've done that before. It's a nice, fun beach, fairly protected. And then there's another campground. I forget the name of it up here, but then farther up right here is Lime Kiln Campground. Let's see if it says Mill Creek. Mill Creek was another campground. So Lime Kiln was up here. This is a Nacimiento-Ferguson road that goes over the mountains. It was actually closed when we drove by, but it goes over to inland over to Fort Hunter Liggett, and I've done that before, either on a bicycle and in a car. Then another campground right here. This is Lime Kiln. My brother goes there quite often. Nice trees. It's beautiful. Then farther up, again, it's a long, windy drive. Here was an interesting spot that we tried to go look at. This is McQuay Waterfall, and you can park here. It's a part of the state park. It's $10 to park. You park in here. We drove in there, but it was so foggy you couldn't see. Here's a waterfall that falls into the ocean. It's man-made, actually. I think McQuay, I guess, is the guy that made it. You can't see it here on Google Earth, but if you Google it, you'll see what it looks like. And so you can walk over on this path, and they're supposed to be able to see it, but when we came by, it was so foggy you couldn't see anything, so it wasn't worth stopping. Clear day, yes, I would like to try that. Then you keep going, and yeah, windy road. Let's zoom out a little. Then you come up over, and this is the Big Sur Valley, I guess you'd call it. And Big Sur Campground is right here. So I'll show you how, and you can see this is Highway 1 that you can see from some of our hikes, or see essentially where it is. You turn into the campground right here. You come down Highway 1 in the valley, and this is where most of the tall redwood trees are, down in here. And our camp spot was way back here, right here somewhere, right about in here. So the first thing we did we got there at night, and then the next morning, the first thing we did was we walked down this road to the entrance. I guess it doesn't show it, but there's a bridge that crosses. I think it's right here. So we walked down and crossed the bridge, came down on this side, and there's a nature trail right here. That shows there, you see it. So nature trail that went along here that we showed in the video. Then there's a restaurant right here. This is the entrance right here, but I don't know if the restaurant is part of the state park. I guess it is. Anyway, there's a general store restaurant, and it looked closed, but there was actually someone inside eating, so I guess it wasn't. Looks like a hamburger kind of place. Then we crossed over here and walked back this way. And here, don't tell anybody, but this is where that camp spot 171 was, where there's a really neat swimming hole in the river that you're camped right next to. And any of the camp spots right there, you'd be pretty lucky to get. So as we walked back, instead of walking back down this road, we decided to cross back over the bridge and walk down this side. And as you can see, it shows a crossing here. And so we were going to cross there, but right about here, let's see if we can zoom in. Yeah, at this parking lot, this was all closed off for construction. Maybe due to the fire that happened several years ago, I don't know. But it said there was a footbridge right here, as you see in our video, a sign that said footbridge. So we walked down a path and expected to see a footbridge, but it wasn't there. I guess we walked way over to here. So here's our campground right over here. And we ended up just wading across the creek, probably about right here. So the footbridge probably was supposedly over here. And that's where we broke the law. So here's a little clip of the lawbreaker. What's this sign say? Oh, that's interesting. Oh well. Mommy's breaking the law here. Here comes the lawbreaker. But we're saying the statute of limitations is passed. That's our excuse. And then we did the hike. We did another hike in the afternoon up to the Pine Ridge Trail. This is this trail, which goes back to several campgrounds. This is the Big Sur Gorge, by the way, right in here. There's no formal trail going back up there, but you can scramble over the rocks. So we were going to hike up this trail and to see if we can have a good vantage point. And we saw that sign right here, it looks like, and we went over here to thinking that there was, or probably back here, that there was going to be a nice vantage point to get a picture, but it wasn't. This was overgrown with poison oak, and the trees were shrouding you in. You couldn't see anything. So we just came back down, and then we drove down later and hiked up the waterfall trail, which was closed. So we ended up going up Valley View Trail, which was nice. You know, you get up there and you can, from there, let's see if we can pan around and show the view that you see. So you can see the view all the way down this valley. And the next day is where you see this Big Sur lighthouse that we drove by. So you can see that all the way from Valley View, and we show that in that video. The hike up, so the initial hike is, let's get back up to it here. The initial hike up into the waterfall, you're just in probably the best redwood trees of Big Sur. However, the waterfall trail is closed because of the the fire in 2008. They're still doing work on it, and we actually saw people working on it when we were there. So we couldn't go up that trail. Here's another trail up to this peak. What was the name of that peak again? Let's see. Mount Manual Trail. Yeah, if we had time, that would have been a nice hike. It would have been a tough one. So that was Thursday that we spent hiking around Big Sur. Friday, we got up, packed up, and drove, and you saw the pictures along the way of the lighthouse. And then the coast up here, the road going this direction to the north is not as curvy, so you can go 50, 55 miles an hour most of the way. And then you come into Carmel, and here's Point Lobos, where we spent a good 4 to 5 hours, I think. Oh, here's a mistake. We called this cove right here is called Whalers Cove. We called it Bluefish Cove. That was one right over. But it was $10 or $9 if you're senior to go in for the day park. So we went, and there's 3 or 4 parking areas. We parked at the end here, right here, and walked around this trail. It was closed right here, so we went around this way, got a vantage point out here, and here's where I gave the hint of how Point Lobos got its name, and you really couldn't hear it on the GoPro due to the wind, but there were sea lions barking out here, and the early Spanish equated the sea lions to wolves, and that's why they called Lobos means wolf in Spanish, and that's why they called it Point Lobos. I don't see the relationship between sea lions and wolves myself, but that's how Point Lobos got its name. And we walked back this way, or down this way, and about right here, we cut inland, wanting to go over to this cove. We met some docents right here who said, oh, you should go down to China Cove because there's some seals pupping, and it's real beautiful. So we went down the middle of the point, down through the forest, and it was a lot of up and down. It doesn't really show that in the video, but we came out, right here. Here's the trail. We came out, and this is where I talked to another docent here. We walked around. This is really neat, all the birds on the island, and then that's China Cove right there. So we were looking down on the seals, and then worked our way back, walked back to our car, or my truck, and walked out Cypress Point here, or Cypress Cove Trail, I guess that's what it's called. It had another name. It's in the video. Anyway, this is the scenic trail that walks around here, that you see all the pictures on postcards of Point Lobos, of that lone pine or cypress that's on the rock out here somewhere. Right here, actually, that one. And there isn't a bad view, like I said, anywhere at Point Lobos, but that's one trail you don't want to miss. If we go back there, I'd like to hike the north trail along the north side, because we drove back and had our lunch. We went to this parking lot, had our lunch. We walked up around this way and looked over to this cove, and then walked back this way and around. We had an hour and a half to kill before our hotel room opened up, so we were just having fun, walking around here and then back. And then we drove to Carmel, which is 15 minutes away. Our hotel was somewhere in this area. And that afternoon, from our hotel, we walked down to the beach, to the sand, and back. And you get a feel for that in our video of Carmel. Carmel's an artsy town, expensive town, cute town, worth going to. We didn't go on 17-mile drive this time, which goes through the Monterey Peninsula. We've done it before, and it's definitely worth doing if you have never done it. The next morning, we got up, had breakfast, and went to Monterey. We parked off of Cannery Row and walked along Cannery Row, and you see that in our Monterey video, and the Monterey Aquarium is right there. Then we drove down the coast here. Here's Lover's Point right here. I took some pictures, video of some surfers. Continued around the point, and then we headed back just through the middle of the peninsula, back over to Salinas, almost to Salinas. I guess it was right here. We went down this highway. You go by Laguna Seca Raceway, and we missed the cutoff. We should have turned on this one road, but we went on this one and caught Highway 101 right here and drove down the Salinas Valley home, which is a 70-mile-an-hour freeway once you get past King City. The pinnacles I mentioned, they're over here. And on the west, this mountain range, on the other side is the Carmel Valley, which goes down to Carmel. So yep, that was our trip, and we enjoyed it, and we'll see you on the next one.